blow me.
Did the idea of a snowman coming to life ever freak you out when you were a kid? Sure, Frosty the Snowman looks playful and innocent enough, but what if he used his powers for evil? Like this maniac killer snowman that can shoot icicles out of his hands, liquefy himself into water, and is practically indestructible. He uses his carrot nose for other purposes that shall not yet be described, and all around becomes a terror to humanity. Yeah, it's time to talk about Jack Frost. Is this a Christmas movie? I mean, there's Christmas decorations hung up during the entire film, and it takes place on a snowy countryside. Plus, it's a heartwarming tale about a father and son, kinda, but with a vicious serial killer snowman trying to murder everybody thrown into the mix, but that seems pretty festive to me, so yeah, we're gonna consider it a Christmas movie. Let me tell you guys something about this movie. Back when I was a kid traversing the aisles of the video store, this movie had a very specific cover that caught my attention. It was one of those holographic covers that when you looked at it from one angle, it was a harmless, typical snowman, but when you moved the case to the side, it revealed a horrifying, skeletal-looking snowman ready to jump out of the VHS box and straight into my soul. The snowman in the movie, of course, looks absolutely nothing like the snowman on the box, but even so, this box snowman left a memorable impression into my young mind. The allure of the idea of a snowman being evil and killing people was something that sent shivers down my child's spine. How could such a thing even exist? What was this movie actually like, and was it as scary as I had built up in my head? Was it some kind of evil magic, ancient voodoo, some kind of unspeakable force making this snowman rise from the once cherished beautiful snowflakes on the ground and into a bloody massacre of epic proportions? How would the snowman kill? How could he be stopped? He's made of snow. Every visit to the video store, I would look and see this cover, and every single time it would freak me out. Could this movie, once I eventually saw it, possibly live up to the high expectations of my childhood imagination of its supposed carnage? Well, no. This movie really sucks.
Hell has just frozen over.
But what I will say is that it's the kind of shitty movie that can be easily enjoyed, especially with some friends and some drinks at hand. Kind of like those Thanksgiving movies. And who would ever think to review a movie like that? I mean, certainly not anybody I know, and not anybody that also decides to talk about a killer snowman movie from the 90s for some godforsaken reason instead of doing videos that would actually get him views. But what can I say? I'm feeling festive, and I promised you guys some Christmas-themed videos, so here we go. We're talking about a killer fucking snowman. Actually, before I get into the film, I have to talk about the elephant in the room, which is actually just another snowman. Jack Frost. It's the literal name of the killer snowman in the movie, but it's also the name of the movie. But it's also the name of another movie about a sentient snowman starring Michael Keaton and aimed towards children. Both of these movies are about a living snowman. Both of them came out only a year apart, with the horror film beating them to the punch by coming out in 1997, whereas the kid-friendly Jack Frost came out in 1998. And yes, believe it or not, there was confusion between these two films. You would think you would only have to look at the cover of the VHS or DVD to figure out the difference, but there were some cases of parents that accidentally rented the horror Jack Frost movie for their kids, inadvertently traumatizing them in the process. But what I think is more traumatizing is thinking about where Michael Keaton's career must have been at the time. Honestly, if Michael Keaton had played the killer Jack Frost in this version instead, I think we might have actually had an all-time classic on our hands.
Who are you? I'm Batman.
The Jack Frost we're going to be talking about starts off with an extremely awkward-sounding little girl voice asking her uncle to tell her a story.
Uncle Henry, tell me a story.
No, it's late. Go to bed.
You don't see either of them, you just hear their voices, but he decides to tell her the story of Jack Frost.
Killed people. He'd stick knives in their faces and cut out their tummies.
A mass murderer who is currently on his way to be executed. This is, of course, on a snowy December night, and the police van crashes into a vehicle that's carrying an experimental chemical. The kind of chemical that is in liquid form, splashing onto Jack, killing him in the snow, while then also infusing his DNA into the snow on a deep biological level and thus creating our titular villain. When I made my Child's Play retrospective, I did a segment talking about various ripoff films made after the movie, but I really should have mentioned this movie. Sure, it's not about a killer doll, but is it just me, or does the human version of Jack Frost seem to act and sound just like Brad Dourif doing this Chucky voice?
I'll find a way! I'll tear you down to pulp! I'll kill your family!
And essentially, you have the same idea going on here. The killer's soul is transferred into a different form. In this case, it's because of science as opposed to magic, but the similarities are so glaring. I also read that the creators of this movie were inspired by the T-1000 from Terminator 2 and how it could turn itself into a liquid form to get around and was pretty indestructible. So yeah, without Child's Play and Terminator 2, we would never have Jack Frost. So what's Jack gonna do now that he's made of snow? Well, get vengeance on the cops that arrested him, of course, including Sheriff Sam, who has a son named Ryan. And does Ryan have to be some weird little ginger kid? Really? Like, can I never have any kind of escapism? This is like when I found the Ryan character in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3 and he gets killed in like 2 seconds. Is there any badass Ryan character out there anywhere? I mean, I guess VR Troopers, we had that, so go us. Ryan makes his dad some oatmeal, which looks extremely disgusting, but this is a very important plot point. Very important, but it'll come back much later on. Sam the sheriff goes to work and finds out there's been a murder in town.
Somebody died?
Take your foot off the chair.
And we also get a chance to meet all the townspeople, including Shannon Elizabeth. Yes, Nadia herself, or Justice, if you're a fan of Jay and Silent Bob.
God, do you get free refills with that?
Oh, what, this? No, I use this for protection, you know, so no guys try to grab my shit or anything.
Shannon Elizabeth is in this movie. You know, I met her briefly earlier this year at a Comic-Con, and now I kind of regret not telling her that she was great in Jack Frost. But actually, it's probably not best to bring it up because of what happens a little bit later. Just hang on a second. Now, I know it's probably because of the low budget, but whether it's intentional or not, the movie takes its time revealing Jack Frost as the Snowman. The first scene is when Ryan is getting picked on by some bullies. Again, this is just giving me flashbacks to when I was a kid, but fortunately for this Ryan, he has a killer snowman that trips one of the bullies, and then an oncoming sled just decapitates him. The best part is Ryan's reaction to this.
I didn't do it.
Holy moly, Ryan killed Billy!
He literally just witnessed a kid's head getting sliced off right in front of him, and his only response is, I didn't do it, it wasn't me. He must get it from his dad because even the sheriff seems pretty casual about all this.
Why don't you go home and calm down? We'll talk about this tomorrow.
The next kills are in the form of the bully's family. The snowman shows up on their front lawn, and the guy comes at him with an axe, and oh yeah, you know, I bet he's gonna take the axe and chop the guy up, right? I mean, okay. Points for creativity, I guess. I can't say I've ever seen anybody kill a victim with an axe this way.
I only asked you for a smoke.
Unexpected, kind of like the time Michael Myers used a gun to stab somebody. Jack then goes inside to kill the man's wife, this time getting more into the Christmas spirit, using her to help decorate the Christmas tree. Soon the government shows up investigating all of this because they know that the chemical substance had this kind of potential, but it had never been tested on a human before. I guess it was some sort of DNA experiment to extend the life of humanity in case of a nuclear war or something. I don't know. They make it way more overly complicated than it needs to be, and none of it matters. No vital information is here to defeat him in any form of an explanation. I think if they just went the Child's Play route and made it a form of magic or voodoo, that would have been better. That way we wouldn't have to make up all these scenes of science jargon that just takes up a bunch of runtime, but whatever. But yeah, if you think about it, and whether or not the movie meant to do this on purpose or not, it did create a horror villain that is basically indestructible. I mean, he's made of snow, but really made of water. And he can manipulate himself into any form, into liquid at any time, meaning that it doesn't even matter if you melt him because he can just reform himself. He also uses any snow around him in order to do it, so later on they blow him up, but it doesn't matter because he just regenerates himself once again. He's basically like Majin Buu. Doesn't matter how many times that you blow him up, he's just going to come back together. You would have to completely eviscerate him on a molecular level with a spirit bomb or something to do anything. But at least a few hair dryers can stave him off for a few minutes. He has some more kills, including being able to drive a car, so that means he can also administer enough force of snow to a car pedal to press it down, so that means he's also incredibly strong. This guy is unstoppable. I mean, imagine him facing off with other horror characters. What's Jason gonna do? Hit him with his machete? It's just gonna go through him. He's made of snow. Jack Frost is ridiculously OP, and he still has a bunch of other skills we haven't even seen yet. This kill takes the cake. First, he takes out the guy that Shannon Elizabeth's character is trying to hook up with by shooting icicle projectiles out of his body. With extreme accuracy, no doubt. And then, okay, well, there's no easy way to say this. He turns himself into her bathwater, reforms himself by trapping her within his grasp, and then begins to... jeez. You know what he does. And the movie makes no secret that he moved his carrot nose somewhere else in order to get the job done. Yeah, add being fucked to death by a snowman on the list of top horror kills.
Christmas came a little early this year.
Jack is also able to liquefy himself to go into another person's body and then kill them, and then vomits himself out. And actually, Majin Buu did that also. All this movie is proving to me is that Jack Frost might actually be as powerful as Majin Buu. The next thing you know, he'll be turning people into chocolate, or maybe into candy canes. They do try everything to kill this creature, and nothing works until Ryan throws some of his oatmeal on Jack, causing him to experience some excruciating pain. Now, why did this work? Oh, it's because this jackass of a kid put antifreeze into the oatmeal.
What did you put in the oats?
Antifreeze?
He says he did it because he didn't want his dad to be cold, so he put antifreeze in his food. This little shit was literally about to murder his own father by poisoning. And how old do you think this kid is supposed to be, really? I mean, he looks at least old enough to know that you can't eat motherfucking antifreeze. It's not food. This, alongside his casual reaction to that decapitation earlier, makes me believe that this kid is actually the real serial killer of the film, or at least he's growing up to be. He's a goddamn psychopath that's pretending to be ignorant enough that he would put antifreeze in his father's food, using the revelation of a killer snowman to hide the fact that he himself is out of his mind and plotting the destruction of the town. So I guess this is a pretty cool Ryan for the movie. Okay.
I can see your house from up here!
Now, the antifreeze doesn't technically kill Jack, but it is harmful to him. So the sheriff faces him off one-on-one, gets stabbed a little bit. Until they can back an entire truck of antifreeze, the sheriff tackles Jack out the window, both of them falling into it. I think antifreeze is only fatal if you ingest it, but it still can't be good to get it all over your skin either way. But the plan is to pour the melted Jack into containers and then bury them deep in the ground. But still, this is not technically killing him. It's just sort of trapping him for a while. Until, you know, they actually did make a sequel to this movie, but let's not get into that right now. The best thing about this movie is that it knows exactly what it is. The concept is ridiculous, and it plays into it. It's a low-budget, direct-to-video horror schlock, and it succeeds in that regard. Make no mistake, it's a bad movie, but it does deliver on the concept. If you ever sat around and thought, I want to watch a movie about a killer snowman, as I'm sure most of us have, well, this movie is there for you. Even though it takes place during Christmas time, there's nothing really Christmassy going on in the story. Gremlins is a movie that has Christmas way more in kind of the center of the plot, but if you want something a little campier, a little crappier, and with a little more snowman sexual assault, then Jack Frost is for you. Anyways, guys, if you have seen this movie, let me know what you think about it down below. I don't know if I can quite call it a hidden gem, but it might be a hidden turd. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Please give the video a thumbs up and a comment to help it out in the algorithm. If you want to support the channel on a deeper level, I do have Patreon, channel memberships, all that in the description down below. Thanks for watching, guys, and Merry Christmas.
Oh, come on! I'm a Picasso!